when he's summoned before this, the so-called master with capital M, this master speaks to him as my son. And then he gives him the message and sends him back in the world. And I'm thinking, this reminds me of the biblical narrative. Many times prophets are summoned or told directly by God, like, I have a message for you, and God would usually, address a prophet as, his own son, or a faithful servant. So there is certain endearment. So there is endearment here, and
Yeah,
then God will tell the prophet, you have a message, and these guys also giving Admiral Byrd a message, and then send him in a way in the same fashion that God will send prophets. So I'm not in any shape or form saying that this master, if it exists, is prophet or represents God or serves God, Yahweh. I don't know any of these things. Again, this is a all big what if, right? We don't
yeah,
know. But I'm just saying, in this last portion before he's sent back home,
yeah.
uh, there's this, the way of business is being conducted.
It's
Like,
more
okay, I
more
call
red
you my
flag.
son. Yeah, yeah. I give you the message and I send you. I'm like, this is in the same way God of the Bible would send his prophets, to do the business and send the message. It just reminds me.
Yeah, absolutely. But on the conversely, like you mentioned earlier, there's a little bit more red flags in this narrative where we're not fully certain of the benevolence and the intentions of these people. So yeah, but still, I would still give them a pass in the sense that no, they didn't come after his family later. They didn't they didn't hurt him or in any way that I know of. So it's an interesting account for sure.
Yeah, and this first account that Admiral Byrd had in 1947 ends with him being told through the radio message at 2:15 p.m. when he's told by his host Auf Wiedersehen, which in German should mean something like goodbye. I'm like, I just don't like all of this German like background and context. And this is in 1947. He goes back. He gives briefing to his superiors. And what I learned from this book that was supposedly 1960s classic, which I cannot recommend because first I didn't read it. Second, um, in the introduction, which was written 2008 or nine, and then the book was republished. We learned a lot about the sketchy and shady characters of this author called Dr. Raymond Bernard, and that was not even supposedly his real name. So again, I can recommend this only to people who love researching and who are curious, but do not expect to draw many truths from this. So in that context, I don't feel comfortable recommending this book. But from the chapter I read is that Admiral Byrd in 1956 managed to get support from the American government and army. Went back with a lot of other pilots and co-pilots, and this time they covered the bigger area. From what I remember in the first account, which we just read in 1946, they managed to cover an area of 1,700 miles. In the second account, they went and they covered the area of 2,300 miles. So overall, they covered, which the second book mentions, an area of 4,000 miles, and that's like big, like the whole, maybe even bigger than the whole continent of North America. And what they explain is this is not on the surface of the earth, but somehow there is an entry, a portal, or a gate around the North Pole, which leads you in the inner earth, and these 4,000 miles of uncovered, um, undiscovered land where it's like green, everything is green, everything is blossoming, trees are huge, animals are huge, people could be huge. That this is actually 4,000 miles or more of the area. It's underneath the earth, but supposedly around the North Pole is the entrance or one of the entrances.